Hey guys, we're in Japan, Tokyo. And today we're going to be looking at some really cool watches on the market. We're in Nakano Broadway and we're going to go check out some other places. We're going to give you some advice for what we recommend, what we don't recommend, and yeah, let's just go on this trip together. It'll be cool. That's pretty cool. The bezel is so faded that it's just basically the numbers above. Yeah, the flight qualified one.
Yeah, that's one of my favourite, the Flymaster. That's really awesome.
And that's about £7,000, I reckon.
They have a lot of, there's a lot of good stuff. They have every Speedmaster you can imagine, really. They got Snoopy 50th anniversary. They got the Ultraman. Can't tell if the price is pretty reasonable or not, but their vintage re-edition is really, truly awesome. True classic race car vibe. Like here's a bit eclectic, but a bit of everything. Vintage Cartier, Hamiltons, they've got Tissot's, Maurice Lacroix.
It's a crazy citizen.
Got Tom Ford's, even Undone, which is funny.
This is a bit more like the eBay world where you're like,
yeah.
So 98,000, so that's about £400. That might be the price for a vintage IWC on eBay.
The prices are really good, but it is buy on your own risk. You have to fix it yourself.
Yeah, for the bubble bags, I mean, it's a
1.8 something like that for a bubble bag.
If you know what you're doing in your servicing, it's not bad. The Flightmaster.
Yeah, really cool stuff. These Flightmasters are awesome.
That's very cool. My brain is always so slow doing maths, but that's about £2,500 now.
This place
really unique. I have to say, really unique supply options.
That Jaeger chrono looks amazing.
Never look down the launching 8225. On the left hand side, so the chronograph hand has the increments up to 9 seconds. Those are really unique. Cool stuff.
Okay, this is Elliot's happy place. These are vintage Breitlings.
Look at those Navi timers.
Which actually are about £4,000 each.
Not absurd.
No, like instead of going retail, you could just bag yourself an old vintage one.
Now go left and you got some great Hewitt calculators. That
Oh,
awesome
wow.
stuff. A bit further on you got really a much cool supply of actual Octavia Hewers.
Oh wow, these are awesome.
Original like big Isis NFs for the chronographs. That is awesome stuff.
You can get yourself a like a proper vintage Belova from the 1950s for what, £750? That might be on my wish list.
£700. Omega Seamaster automatic in that pink dial. I mean that's really good value.
That's really good value. So, just came out, they just gave me a card. They were really sweet actually. They gave us 2 teas, we sat down. I thought this was a bit more of a like market very quick, but it's a bit more high end. Having said that, the prices for some of the vintage pieces are quite low, and I'm eyeing a Omega Seamaster that's a little bit in like a fuchsia pink dial, so I don't know if it's too pink for me or not, but I've got the card, we're going to look around, and if I'm tempted, I'll go buy it. So let's see. So we just managed to go check out the showroom for Kurono Tokyo. Super staffed. They were so warm and welcoming, but obviously you get in and they tell you everything is sold out, nothing you can buy. Not a big surprise, but you can see that there's real care and passion behind everything there. And it was such a cool collection. Honestly, most of those pieces you just dream to have. And yeah, I'm sure some collectors have loads of them, so they're very lucky. We're in Don Quixote right now. Don Quixote is like there's multiple around Japan, especially around Tokyo, and there's these crazy multi-tiered shopping centers, basically with loads of stuff. But the thing they really do have that's interesting is a bunch of really cool Seikos. And I have to say, the price of some of them are really, really great. So, we've just finished our Japan trip. It's been amazing and it's been exhausting at the same time, so I'm kind of glad we're back. We've got a massive suitcase full of stuff, and we did get one watch in the end. So, Elliot, what did you think about Nakano Broadway? Because that's kind of the mecca for watches, really.
So a lot of people talk about Nakano Broadway for buying watches. I think it's a pretty good spot. It's mostly high-end luxury, so you mostly get like second-hand Rolexes, Pateks, everything that's very high priced. So in that range, if it's cheaper than other places, I'm not sure. Maybe it helps a bit if you can get it tax-free once you're there, but it's not as vintage as we expected it to be. There's some good spots, to be fair. Some places, some really unique stuff with some good prices, but generally, yeah, luxury.
If your budget is 500 USD and below, I would avoid that place. The cheaper ones always have a big tag that says, you know, these might not work and they're not checked. They're probably as good as the eBay ones you would find in Europe.
Yeah, there's a lot of stores that write just like it's as shown. So you go, okay, well, you're not really sure if the vintage stuff is going to work or not. So it's a bit of a gamble, but there you go.
And then the jump up to that is basically looking at stores. I mean, funnily enough, Don Quixote ultimately is what we went for at 2 a.m. or something to get our pick, where I decided not to take one of the Omegas that you'll see in the video and instead just get a Seiko, because let's be honest, they're just good prices.
And they have some crazy stock, so anything that's Seiko, Citizen, Casio, there's all of it there. They also sometimes they'll sell a Rolex or Longines there as well. But it's a good spot for sure. And I mean, that's where we ended up getting our watches, so.
Yeah, the only big disappointment I found from just, in general, anything that's the lower £500, 500 USD is there's a clear lack of variety. Even going from store to store, retail outlet to retail outlet, you'll see the same models, which was great because I wanted to get a specific one. And that one, every single Don Quixote we entered, they had.
Out of the stores, you've got Book Off is one of them, just like this. Well, it's basically just mainly just sells books and has a section about watches, which is not too bad either. They've got pretty much absolutely everything. I mean, these are stores that in Europe you would cry to get. Anything from vintage Nintendo games to guitars and random magazines. But yeah, they all have their little watch section, and the prices are pretty good. Yeah.
So Book Off are all second-hand use, so you'll get second-hand use watches, which I think lowers the price a fair amount. I'd say 20 to 30% less than other places. With Big Camera, what's quite nice is we're at Haneda Airport right now, and you can go straight into a Big Camera and you can get yourself a G-Schock for, you know, £50, 50 USD.
600 for 50 pounds-ish. GA2100s for like 70, 80. They're pretty good competitive prices.
Yeah, I honestly think if you have 500 USD or less, go straight to the airport. You don't even need to go to Nakano Broadway or be too specific. And then a lot of the specific vintage watches around, I found at least that the prices, although they're amazing products, are slightly inflated. So in my mind, it was going to be this vintage haven of cheap watches, but actually it was a vintage haven of expensive.
Yeah, there's really good stocks. I mean, there's like American BBB. I think there'll be a video in there. They've got like drawers and drawers and drawers of watches, which is amazing. But very expensive prices for what they are, and you can basically find vintage Omegas in Japan cheaper than you can find some vintage Seikos, which is surprising, but.
Thank you guys for following. This was our first vlog. This might be a terrible botch job, or it might be something semi-decent. We'll give it a go. But yeah, hopefully you enjoyed. And I'll see you guys on the next one.
See ya.
Bye.